The market chops around before ultimately closing higher. What happens next? This is Invest with Jacob. Okay, guys, so in yesterday's video, we talked about the fact that if the market broke Thursday's low, it was a warning for the bulls, and the market did it in sneaky fashion. The S&P futures did it in the overnight session, but not during regular trading hours, and the NASDAQ spiked its low and then bounced from there. So is this still a warning? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, with the sneaky fashion in which the low was broken, do we still count it as a warning? Let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1-hour futures chart for the S&P 500. And a couple things to note on here. Number one, as I talked about in the intro, they did break Thursday's low, and they came down, okay, and poked just below what we would call the pivot. From there, they bounced it up in choppy fashion for the rest of the day to just above the 50% retrace of this entire move. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because you didn't see this move down in regular trading hours, but the move up did retrace 50% of this whole move. So on the SPX, if we go over to that chart, doesn't look like it has much of a wave 2 like we would expect. So on the SPX, we would count this as a 1, 2, and then 1, and then we'd look for a wave 2 back up to the 44.16 to 30 area before we saw a move down. Now, we didn't see that, and we didn't get much of a retrace on the actual SPX chart because all of the move down was done in the after hours. This is why I do break down the futures, because we do have a big enough spike for a wave 2 that if the market decides to shoot down tomorrow and start wave 3 of 3, it is a valid setup. So that's what's going on under the hood in the futures market, and that's why we break that down as well. So let's go back over to the ES and look at a few different things. So because of the big bounce in ES up here, we are still set up to the downside. If they can come down and break this low, they are at the bottom of the pivot, and then it does favor the bigger ABC down toward the 4,300 area to 4,260 area that we have talked about, as opposed to the smaller ABC. So the smaller ABC would be A, B, C, and then back up in the diagonal, right? This favors the bigger ABC if they can come down and break this low, and the reason is this bounce. Because in the normal smaller ABC, this would be A, this would be B, and we'd be starting down in C, and this bounce here is too high, and we didn't quite get to the C wave target. It's a little bit short for a C wave, and it's lacking another move down. So it's more likely that if they come down and break the low, they are continuing in wave 3 of 3 to the downside and would target the 43.65 area, then a bounce, then the 43.40 area, a bounce, and then 43.15 after that. And this is on the ES chart, so you take about 30 off of that, and that puts us right in that 42.60 to 70 range for the SPX. So if they come down and break the low, it does favor the bigger move down, and that's why this bounce right here. Also, it is a valid wave 2 of 3 here, which you don't necessarily see on the SPX chart because most of this move down happened after hours to extend this wave, and now you have the retrace up. So we are still in a valid downside setup, and the break of the low is a warning, and now is set up for an even bigger drop if they can break the low that they made in the overnights on Sunday night. So that's the downside setup. The upside setup is that it's a truncated C wave, not a truncated, but a shortened C wave. I shouldn't say truncated. It's a shortened C wave. It's about the 764, a little less, which is not what you would expect from here. And so it's a shortened C wave, and then we start with another C wave to the upside toward that 4530 area on the futures chart, or 4500 area on SPX that we've been talking about, that 4500, 4513 SPX area, which would be about 4530 or so on the futures chart. That would be the alternate count to the upside for the bulls. So basically 2 counts that we're looking at and 2 basic setups that we're looking at. Break this high, and it favors the diagonal to the upside. Break this low, and it favors the bigger move to the 4260 area on the SPX, and then we'll see what happens from there. If we get a corrective bounce, we're looking for a bigger move down. If we get a impulsive bounce, we're looking at a move toward all-time highs. Over on the NASDAQ, So on the NASDAQ, we have a little bit different setup. Remember, we have a potential ABC look that would take us down toward 14,787 or as deep as 14,639, just depending on how far they want to push it. But it's a little cleaner of a setup in that regard. But we also have the potential that this is a 1-2 setup, 1, 2, and this would be 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and we'd be starting 3 of 3 down. Now the bounce or the spike of the low on the NASDAQ isn't nearly as important, because all you're seeing right here is what you call consolidation above the pivot, the 618 to 764. When you see this kind of consolidation, this is common for a wave 3. We talk about it all the time, and then they finally break through the resistance, or the support in this case, sorry, the support here, which would be the June lows, and that would point us toward the 14,639 area, then a bounce, then a move down under 14,500 to the 14,400 area, and ultimately to 14,161 after that, to either give us a bigger move down where the next move up would go toward all-time highs, or if we get a corrective bounce on the NASDAQ, a bigger move down on the NASDAQ as well. So again, both charts have very similar parameters. Now the alternate bullish count here is that this is a wave 4, and then you have overlap here, so it would be a diagonal where you'd have an A, B, C up toward the 15,600, 15,700 area to complete a bigger wave 5 of that wave B, and then we'd look for a move down from there. So very similar setups on both charts and very similar parameters. Break over this high, and it favors that ending diagonal towards 15,600 or 700. Break below this low, and really for the NASDAQ, they need to break 14,935, but break below this low, that's a start. Break through the pivot, and that's a warning to the bulls that we are on our way to the downside. Guys, if you love the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It will take you right over to the webpage. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible monthly plans, okay, as well as our Elliott Wave for Beginners online course. Now, this course is an a la carte course. It does go through Elliott Wave for people who don't understand it, who don't know how to apply it, who are confused by it, who want to learn it better. It's an outstanding course. It's 25 videos where I go over the introduction, the chart setup, and every tool that I use along with Elliott Wave to give me the targets, turns, all the things that you'd look for, failure points, investing, all of the stuff you'd want to know, and the chart setup and tools, as well as every wave target and where they fail, all of the different things you would look for and how to apply Elliott Wave. As you can see from the testimonials on the screen, it helps traders immensely. It gives them an idea of how to understand the market for the first time instead of trying to figure out why the news cycles don't match up. The cool thing about this course is it is included in both rooms. So if you don't want to just buy the course and you want to be part of a winning team, you can join one of our rooms and get the course in there. In our first room, the Invest with Jacob room, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where I go over exactly where we are in the counts as well as what to expect, and the training material you just saw, the course here. We trade the SPY and the QQQ, and we swing trade, which means our trades can last anywhere from a few days to a few months, so we don't trade quite as often as a day trading room does. However, if you are interested in day trading as well as individual stocks, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as individual stocks, day trading, and PT's reduced risk binary method that absolutely crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you big multiples on your money, and it's how he structures the trade that's so unique. It's something you really have to see to understand, and that's another reason we give you that 7-day free trial. He also started a challenge account where he put $4,000 into an account trading mini ES futures, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we would love to have you in our room so we can all make money together. All right, key takeaways for today. It's pretty simple parameters. If the bulls can come down and break, or the bears can come down and break the overnight low from Sunday night, break this low and push down through the pivot, it does favor the bigger move down toward the 4260 SPX area. However, if the bulls can come and break out over this low or high at 4477, we would look for that ending diagonal up toward the 4500 to 4513 SPX area. Over on the NASDAQ, similar parameters, slightly different counts. Break down below this low and ultimately through the pivot at 14,935, and it does favor the bigger move down that we highlighted earlier in the video. Break out above this high around 15,350, and it favors the ending diagonal up toward that 15,600 to 15,700 area. Guys, that is the market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.